There are days when everything seems to work against you. A message that sinks your heart, a call that brings bad news, or simply a word that shakes your entire mind. You find yourself standing in the middle of a storm, unsure how to take the next step. Yet, there is a quiet but powerful truth. You cannot command the wind to stop, but you can learn to stand firm in it. Stoicism reminds us that life is always changing, and none of us can control its flow, but we can always govern our response. When you know who you are, what is worth holding, and what must be released, you begin to live without being dragged by the chaos outside. Calmness is not indifference. It is strength forged by daily choice. And if you want to build an unshakable inner power, it starts here. 1. Control only what is in your hands. One of the central principles of Stoic philosophy is drawing a clear line between what we can control and what lies entirely beyond our reach. It sounds simple enough, yet in daily life you will find that most of our worries, stress, and anger arise from trying to control what was never ours to command. The weather, other people's opinions, market fluctuations, unexpected events, all are pieces of the world we can only observe and accept, never bend to our will. Instead of pouring energy into what we cannot control, the Stoics urge us to devote it entirely to mastering our own reactions, behavior, and attitude, for these are the only things we truly own. When we cling to the desire to control the world, the mind is trapped in tension, expectation, and disappointment. The world does not run on anyone's personal script. Each time events defy our hopes, frustration and a sense of injustice flare up, dragging with them a flood of negative thoughts. But if we accept from the start that some things will remain unmoved by our will, disappointment softens, and in its place we find more inner space to choose a wise response. Stoics do not deny discomfort or grief. They simply refuse to let them dictate how they live. Epictetus once said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." This is not a call to surrender, but a liberation. When we stop clutching what cannot be held, we gain more time, energy, and clarity to focus on what truly makes a difference: self-development, skill building, and choosing wise responses to life's turns. This approach lightens the mind's burden and makes us more proactive in shaping our lives toward what we value. Stoic philosophy draws a sharp boundary. On one side are the things under our control: thoughts, values, choices, actions. On the other are the things beyond it: praise or criticism, approval or rejection from others, changes in the weather, even the state of our health in certain unavoidable situations. Wisdom is focusing our whole attention on the first side, while training ourselves to accept the second as a natural part of life. In doing so, the mind is spared countless needless battles and instead gains stability, clarity, and peace. Living by this principle also means letting go of the illusion that we can control how others think or feel about us. You can act with kindness, you can give your best effort, but you cannot compel someone to like or value you. Instead of chasing recognition, anchor yourself in acting in alignment with your own values. Confidence and peace come from knowing you have done what is right, not from universal agreement. This is the solid foundation for staying self-possessed through life's unpredictable turns. When you understand that you can only control yourself, you see clearly that true power is not in directing the world, but in directing yourself. Every situation, no matter how difficult, becomes a chance to strengthen your inner core. When a plan falls apart, instead of anger, you can choose to adjust your next move. When someone lets you down, instead of letting that disappointment shape your whole day, you can choose calm and focus on what matters more. This choice, repeated daily, builds a mind that is steady and unshaken by whatever may come. 2. Emotions pass. Character remains. In life, emotions are inseparable from being human. We may feel joy in achievement, grief in loss, anger at injustice, or anxiety before an uncertain future. These states are natural reactions of mind and body to what happens. Yet Stoic philosophy teaches that no matter how intense, emotions are but passing waves on the surface of the mind. They do not last forever, and our true strength lies not in erasing them, but in shaping how we respond when they arise. A common mistake is to equate calm with feeling nothing. The Stoic does not seek numbness or detachment from life, but clarity about the roots of their emotions, recognizing them, then letting reason lead action rather than letting emotion rule. The calm they pursue is a disciplined state of mind, where anger does not drive destructive acts, fear does not paralyze progress, and pain does not rob dignity. Calm is not emptiness, it is the strength to hold to your values and principles even in the fiercest storms. Marcus Aurelius wrote that true strength lies in mastering the mind, for we cannot control outside events. This is not only a life philosophy, but also a warning. When we let emotions take the lead, we are quick to react on impulse, and such reactions can leave lasting consequences. A flash of anger can destroy a long-built relationship. A moment of fear can make us pass by a crucial opportunity. Emotions will fade, but the results of our actions will remain, shaping how others see us, and more importantly, shaping who we are. That is why the Stoic does not rush into quick reactions, but chooses the timing and manner of their response in line with their values. They understand not every situation deserves a forceful reaction, and sometimes silence is the best shield for dignity and inner peace. This is not weakness or avoidance, it is a high form of self-control, the ability to see your emotions clearly without handing them the reins. Emotions are always temporary. A deep sadness may lift after a night's rest, a burning anger may fade within hours. But if in that time we let emotion take over, act rashly, or abandon what matters, what remains after the feeling passes will be scars that last. The essence is to see emotions as passing guests, while character is the lasting foundation. When you place character above emotion, you act from the person you wish to be, not just the mood you happen to be in. Preserving character in the flow of emotions is a discipline. It requires self-observation, early recognition of rising emotion, and a conscious choice of response. The Stoic believes that in every moment there is a pause, if only for a few seconds, between stimulus and reaction. That pause is where reason can speak, where we can choose the path aligned with our values instead of our fleeting impulses. Turn this into habit, and you will build a character that is steady, unswayed by emotional tides, and that character will be your true legacy, far outlasting any feeling you have ever known. 3. Love, even what you did not choose. One of life's greatest challenges is facing circumstances we neither wanted nor can change. Our instinct is to resist, push back, or find escape. Yet Stoic philosophy offers a radically different view. Not only to accept, but to learn to love what happens, even when it was never our choice. This idea is known as amor fati, a love of one's fate. It is not resignation or passive acceptance, but an active embrace, turning every event, good or bad, into a meaningful part of one's journey. Loving even what you did not choose begins with understanding life's nature. Every event, wanted or not, is the result of countless forces beyond any one person's control, from social circumstances, to the workings of nature, to the actions and decisions of others. When we fight what cannot be changed, we only multiply our suffering. This suffering comes from two sources: the situation itself and our inner resistance to it. Remove the resistance, and half the burden is gone. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a strong fire can turn everything thrown into it into light and heat. This is not just poetic, it is a vivid image of turning adversity into strength. When we accept reality as a necessary part of our journey, we stop wasting energy wishing it were otherwise, and instead focus on living as well as we can within the present moment. This shift releases the inner strength to face forward and move on. Acceptance is not inaction. The Stoic does not sit idle. Letting things happen, they act within what they can control, while letting go of obsession over what they cannot. Reality does not ask our permission to exist, but we retain the power to choose our response. That choice reflects our dignity, our self-mastery, and our resilience in the face of change. Amor fati is also an invitation to see value even in hardship. Difficulties are not only obstacles, they are opportunities to build mental strength and learn lessons that only adversity can teach. To love fate is to stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can I make of this?" The second question opens the door to action. The first often leads to despair. Living with the spirit of loving even what you did not choose grants a deep freedom. It frees us from needing perfect conditions to be at peace. When happiness is no longer suspended on a specific future, we begin to find it here and now, even in an imperfect present. This is one of life's most valuable skills, for the world will always change and never fully align with our desires. Ultimately, loving even what you did not choose is the art of living in harmony with reality. It does not mean liking every event, but it means seeing them as essential and necessary parts of our story. When we meet even the unwanted chapters with openness, we grow stronger, freer, and more at peace. Fate then ceases to be a force that imposes and becomes a companion guiding us down roads we may never have chosen, but that hold treasures we could only discover by walking them. 4. Inner power. No one can take away. A person's true power does not lie in the position they hold, the wealth they own, or the praise they receive, but in their ability to hold fast to their values and inner calm in the face of external forces. Stoic philosophy teaches that no one can strip you of your confidence, self-respect, or agency unless you willingly hand them over. Emotional harm rarely comes directly from someone's words or actions. It comes from the way we allow those things to enter and shape our thoughts and feelings. When your foundation of value lies within, every compliment or criticism from outside becomes nothing more than an echo, without the authority to define who you are. The Stoics believe we bear ultimate responsibility for the state of our inner world. Epictetus once reminded us that if someone makes you angry or hurts you, it is only because your mind has agreed to let it happen. This is a profound shift in perspective, moving you from the position of victim to the position of agent. When you realize that you alone decide how to respond in any situation, you see that true power never rests in someone else's hands, it remains in your own. This inner power is especially vital in an age when judgment, criticism, and comparison can appear anywhere, anytime. If your sense of worth depends on the approval of others, you will live in a constant state of expectation and fear, driven by outside opinion. But when your confidence is rooted in living by principles you believe are right, you will no longer be swayed by waves of public opinion or the attitudes of those around you. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that if you feel you have been harmed, it is because you have decided that you have been. This is not an encouragement to deny pain, but a reminder that the feeling of being hurt is the product of inner interpretation, and therefore, you have the power to change that interpretation. When you are no longer governed by attack or rejection, you discover that inner strength is the most impregnable fortress, one no external force can enter unless you open the gates. Holding on to inner power also means being deliberate about where you place your attention and energy. Not every word or act from others deserves a response. This discernment saves your strength for what truly matters and keeps you from being drawn into pointless battles. It is a high form of self-mastery, knowing that silence or non-response can sometimes be the most powerful reply. When inner power is cultivated and protected, it becomes the foundation for lasting confidence and adaptability in the face of life's turns. You can face criticism without becoming defensive, receive praise without arrogance, and walk through great challenges without losing balance. This is the kind of strength no one can take, because it depends on no external factor. It comes entirely from your will, your principles, and your steadfastness. And with this strength in hand, you can move through the world knowing that no word or action from another can shake your true self. 5. Values are the compass, not emotions. In life's journey, emotions are like the weather, sometimes clear and pleasant, sometimes sudden and fierce. They bring important signals about how we experience the world, but if we let them steer us, our direction will constantly shift, and we will be pulled toward impulsive choices. Stoic philosophy insists that to hold to our chosen path, we need a steadier guide, and that is the system of values we trust and commit to live by. Values are the foundational principles shaping every choice, regardless of how circumstances change. They are the compass showing us what is right, what aligns with our dignity, even when emotion pushes us the other way. Emotions react to the moment, but values reflect the long vision of who we want to become. When we act from values, we are no longer driven by the short-term swings of mood, but anchored in consistency and stability. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Brief, but it contains a clear way of living. Ask the moral question before acting. Applying this principle, you see that many situations do not require an immediate reaction, and many actions become unnecessary simply because they fail your ethical standard. This not only helps you avoid mistakes, but strengthens your own image as consistent and trustworthy, both in your own eyes and in the eyes of others. Living by values instead of emotions demands self-control and resolve. There are times when emotion rises fiercely, urging you to say or do something right now. But in that moment, pausing to ask, "Does this reflect the person I want to be?" is crucial. If the answer is no, the right choice is to walk away from the action, no matter how strong the feeling. This is not suppression, it is acknowledging the emotion without allowing it to dictate your behavior. What's striking is that consistently choosing values over emotions builds positive momentum. Each time you do so, you strengthen your capacity for self-mastery, and that capacity grows over time. Emotions will still come, but they lose their hold over your actions because you have built a clear inner standard. This is how you forge a steady character, one that is not overturned by anger, fear, or fleeting joy. Values are also the bedrock of lasting confidence. When you know your decisions come from principle, not social pressure or passing mood, you stand firmer under others' judgment. You do not need universal agreement because you know you have acted in line with your inner code. This brings a deep kind of freedom. Not freedom to do whatever you like, but freedom from betraying what you believe is right. Ultimately, for values to serve as your compass, you must regularly examine and clarify them. You cannot live by principles you have never defined. Taking time to write them down, think them through, and commit to them gives you a firm anchor, especially in hard moments, when emotion can easily cloud reason. Once values are carved deeply, they become your natural guide in every decision, keeping you on your chosen course despite the storms of feeling or circumstance. 6. The mind must be trained daily. The mind, like the body, cannot keep its strength and agility without regular training. Just as muscles need movement to grow, so too do our thinking, emotional control, and clarity need daily exercise. The Stoics understood that a resilient mind is not the product of luck or birth, but of repeated choices over time. Every day is an opportunity to build mental strength, and every day skipped is a step backward, leaving the mind weaker and more easily swept away by circumstance. Epictetus reminded us that nothing great is created suddenly. This applies perfectly to the growth of inner strength. No one can expect to remain calm in a crisis without first training their reactions in smaller tests. Self-control, clear thinking, and steadiness under pressure are the result of hundreds, even thousands, of decisions. Choosing not to react impulsively, choosing to listen patiently, choosing to hold back words when emotion runs high. Each choice is like a lift for the spirit, gradually building a strength that is hard to shake. Daily mental training does not have to take place in dramatic situations. In fact, most progress comes from quiet, consistent acts. The Stoics saw each morning as a time to prepare the mind, and each evening as a time to reflect. These moments not only help us review our actions, but strengthen the habit of observing and guiding our thoughts. With daily practice, we become skilled at noticing emotions as soon as they arise and deciding our response with reason rather than reflex. Patience is vital in this process. Like physical fitness, mental strength comes not from one grand effort, but from accumulation. Some days you will feel little progress, but it is the discipline on those days that makes the long-term difference. Over time, the habit of training the mind is etched into your nature, and one day you will realize you are reacting differently, calmer, clearer, and less shaken by small disturbances. Training the mind each day is also a way of preparing for challenges not yet seen. Life gives no warning before the storm. If you wait until a crisis to try to hold steady, you are likely to be overwhelmed. But if the mind is already used to adjusting, focusing, and restraining itself each day, you will have the mental muscle ready to stand firm in any tempest. This is why the Stoics did not just speak of calm living. They stressed the discipline of daily mental exercise as essential to life. When this practice is sustained, your mind becomes a stronghold. External forces, praise or blame, failure or success cannot easily breach or unsettle it. You learn to meet everything with calm, weighing it for its true worth rather than reacting from passing emotion. And this stability becomes the foundation of a free life, one in which you are not driven by the world's turbulence, but guided by the clarity and agency forged through daily discipline. 7. Remember that you will die. In Stoic thought, the phrase memento mori, remember that you will die, is not a grim or pessimistic warning, but a profound principle meant to awaken awareness and intentionality. People often live as if they have infinite time, delaying what matters, obsessing over trivialities, and getting lost in needless conflicts. Yet when you grasp that each day brings you closer to the end of your life, you begin to see everything through an entirely different lens. Death, whether we wish it or not, is an unshakable part of existence. The Stoic does not avoid it or treat it as an enemy, but accepts it as a non-negotiable fact. This acceptance does not make life passive. On the contrary, it drives us to live more actively and meaningfully. When you know time is limited, you care less for the meaningless and focus more on what truly matters. You say thank you while you still can. Express love while there is time and take the actions you would normally postpone. Seneca advised us to prepare the mind as if today were the last day, not to create fear, but to balance life's ledger each day. This is not living in constant tension, but staying in a state of persistent wakefulness, knowing any moment could be the final one. With this awareness, you reduce pointless arguments, stop delaying important decisions, and waste less time on shallow concerns. Remembering death also reshapes your priorities. Many spend most of their lives chasing approval, hoarding possessions, or competing with others, yet at the edge of life, such pursuits lose meaning. What remains are the questions. Have I lived true to myself? Have I given enough time to those I love? Have I been brave enough to do what matters most to me? Asked daily, these questions become a compass, guiding you to live with more honesty and courage. Memento mori is also the antidote to the fear of failure. When you accept death as certain and unavoidable, smaller risks lose their weight. You are more willing to act before you feel ready, to say what needs to be said, to take a path without seeing the end. The fear of rejection, judgment, or misunderstanding shrinks beside the truth that your time is finite and slipping away. Awareness of death also adds depth to ordinary moments. A quiet morning, a simple meal, or a brief conversation becomes more precious when you know you will not have endless chances to experience them. You begin to savor each moment instead of letting it slip by unnoticed. This appreciation is the source of lasting happiness, a joy that comes not from circumstances, but from being fully present in the now. The Stoics treat reflecting on death as part of mental discipline. It is not an obsession, but an exercise to reorder priorities and ensure that when the end arrives, we do not regret having lived shallowly. The goal is not to stretch life endlessly, but to give weight and meaning to every single day. When each act is chosen with the awareness that it could be your last, you act with greater kindness, courage, and truth. And when the final day comes, if you have lived with the spirit of memento mori, you will meet it not with panic or regret, but with the calm of one who has long faced reality and used it to live more fully. This is the ultimate freedom the Stoics seek. Freedom from the fear of death, to live deeply and meaningfully until the very last breath. 8. Calm is strength. In a world where noise and aggression are often mistaken for power, the ability to remain calm amid chaos is a rare form of strength. Calmness is not passivity or weakness, it is self-mastery at its highest level. It demands a steady will that refuses to be pulled into impulsive reactions, a clear mind that can see through the haze of emotion, and an inner fortitude that keeps direction even when the ground around you shakes. The Stoics see calm as the peak of self-control, for only when you master yourself can you respond wisely to the world. Calm holds great value because it allows you to view situations in their entirety before acting. When emotions flare, your vision narrows, locking on to discomfort or immediate threat. But in calmness, the mind widens, revealing factors and opportunities that anger or panic would have hidden. This is especially critical in tense moments, where one wrong move can bring lasting consequences. To stay calm is to create that vital space between stimulus and response, a space where reason can speak. Epictetus said, "No one is truly free until they have mastered themselves." True freedom is not doing whatever you feel in the moment. It is choosing a response that aligns with your values and long-term aims, regardless of passing emotions. Calm gives you that choice. Free from the pull of anger, fear, or pride, you can make decisions that reflect the person you intend to become. Calm is also the foundation for healthy relationships and positive influence. In moments of strain, loss of control spreads quickly, darkening the atmosphere and escalating conflict. But a person who stays calm becomes an anchor for others, helping them feel safer and more focused. This benefits not only you, but elevates your capacity to lead and inspire. Marcus Aurelius compared a person to a rock standing firm against the waves. The waves may crash hard, water may spray high, but the rock remains unmoved, and in that steadfastness, the waves lose their force. This is the essence of calm's strength, not proving yourself through noise, but holding your ground until the situation itself changes. By standing firm, you protect not only yourself but also those near you. More importantly, calm does not appear by accident. It is the result of training the mind of recognizing that while you cannot control everything, you can always control your response. The Stoic does not wait for perfect conditions to feel at peace. They build peace within even while the world outside is unstable. This requires patience and discipline, but the reward is profound freedom. Freedom from being enslaved by emotion or dictated to by external events. When you maintain calm, you do not need recognition or comparison to feel strong. Your strength comes from knowing your mind stands steady no matter the storm, and no one can take that steadiness unless you allow it. This is a power no title, wealth, or status can replace the power of self-mastery. And once you possess it, you will see that in a world of constant change, the most enduring strength is not the ability to control all things, but the ability to ensure nothing can control you. I believe the core spirit of the entire Stoic philosophy is inner freedom, a state in which a person is no longer controlled by circumstances or fleeting emotions. When we build life on what we can control, train ourselves to master our responses, and remain steadfast in our core values, we not only grow stronger, but live with intention and direction. Calmness, discipline, and acceptance are not signs of weakness. They are proof of strength, refined over time. Each principle in Stoicism is like a layer of armor that keeps us steady through trials, while opening a new way of seeing happiness, a happiness not dependent on favorable conditions, but on knowing we are living true to what matters most. When we understand and apply this, life is no longer a chain of passive reactions, but a deliberate journey of choosing and creating who we are. When you understand that you cannot control everything but can always control yourself, you discover a deep and enduring freedom. So, if you found these insights valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next content. Remember, the greatest power you can ever possess is not in conquering the world outside, but in conquering yourself, and once you do, nothing can shake you. See you in the next video.